Hey everyone, this is Trevnik, and MATPAT just uploaded a new theory video, and it's of Deltarune, so I might as well do a reaction stream to it. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So this is game theory. You are the final boss of Deltarune. Let's see. So we've got the Spamton background.
Hey, it's me, everybody's favorite #1 theorist, Matthew R. Patrick. Oh, if it isn't a loyal theorist.
Spamton MATPAT.
Well, I got a
Deltarune theory.
For you.
Yeah.
You want it. You want
Deltarune theory.
Don't you? All you have
Yes.
to do is show me your
Subscribe button.
Go on. Why don't you show it off?
Yeah, subscribe to MATPAT.
Be a big shot. A big shot.
Big shot. Big shot. Big shot. Game theory. Oh, they even oh, 6 game theories of me.
Internet.
Keep an eye out. They even did like the Deltarune voice.
Big shot. Loyal
Big
theorists,
shot.
as I continued around on my time hosting the channel, one thing that was really important to me was revisiting iconic theories from throughout the show's history. And perhaps no
Thank you so much,
theory is as
MATPAT.
beloved as the Sans' nest theory. Now,
Oh, yeah, we remember that.
This one was a bit controversial. Not exactly sure why though. It seemed pretty obvious to me that this small boy from Earthbound was the same as this Tumblr sexy man from Undertale. People said I was crazy. And now, all these years later, I finally understand why. You see, after all these years, Toby Fox finally decided to come online and set the record straight, sending me this tweet in the wake of my announcement video.
Oh.
Suddenly, everything clicked. Sans isn't Ness. Sans and Papyrus are Ness. No wonder you all were so frustrated about that episode. I am so sorry.
I didn't know Toby Fox responded to
Anyway,
that.
all that ancient history. What I want to talk about today is Toby Fox's latest game, Deltarune.
Yeah,
Specifically
this is
the
it.
newest chapter, which just released in September of
Yeah.
2021.
That's
All right,
like 4 days
let's
after
get
my
a little bit
birthday.
into this one. And since it's been a hot minute,
I mean,
since
I
the
was
last
born in
game,
2005,
let's catch up
September
with where we
13.
stand right now. Off the bat, it's important to remember that Deltarune is a spiritual successor to Undertale. Even though a lot of the same characters show up in both, they function independently from their first outing. This time
Yeah.
we play as Chris, a quiet, lonely human child
Yeah.
in a world of monsters, adopted into the family of Toriel, Asgore, and Azrael.
They're just a
See what I
bootleg
mean
Dora the
about same
Explorer.
characters repeating themselves? In Chapter 1, Chris gets paired up with the school bully Susie to
Yep.
go find some chalk, only to fall into the dark world, a fantasy realm of living cards and toys powered by something
Susie is
called
just
the Dark
Barney's
Fountain.
daughter.
Along the way, they meet the Dark Prince named
Rousey.
whose name is an anagram of
Azrael,
just
yeah.
something to keep in mind. We quickly learn of a prophecy where Chris, Susie, and Ralsei are meant to restore balance.
This is a nice
between
recap. I like
light
this.
and dark. After much ducking and dodging with our heart-shaped object, Susie learns to accept friendship, and together the team
Yeah.
defeats the evil king and escape back to the real
Yeah.
world, where suddenly the pair find themselves in a supply room scattered with toys and games. It was all
Yeah.
pretend, or was it? Either way, it's a
Yeah.
happy ending, right? Well, it would have been if it hadn't been for Chris suddenly ripping out their heart, shoving it into a
Yeah.
bird cage, and then showing off their shiny.
Yeah,
new
Chris
nose.
has
It was
control
just ending,
sometimes.
and it left us with a lot of questions. Questions that we all hoped would be answered in Chapter 2 3 years later. So what did we learn when Chapter 2 finally released? Well, Chris used that knife to eat a pie. No joke, just ate a pie. And from there, Chapter 2 follows a similar pattern to Chapter
Kagawa,
1.
thank
Susie
you so
and
much
Chris
for
find
joining the
doors found
stream.
in the library, which leads them to the cyber world. It's there that they find
We're
evil
watching
computer
MATPAT'S
queen and
latest
prostitute
Deltarune
Shine
theory.
Well and the obnoxious know-it-all Birdly. Noelle
Yeah,
learns to be
Birdly.
confident,
We know
Birdly learns
Birdly.
to be more humble, and everyone teams
Yeah.
up to defeat the queen in a final game of Punch-Out. Because that's exactly what you'd expect from a turn-based RPG. It's yet another happy ending till.
Wait, hold on. Okay, wait, no, the video's kind of lagging. Is my... Okay, I think I just need to... I think I just need to turn down the quality. This should be good.
Chris removes their heart once more,
Yep.
slashes their mom's tires, and then uses the knife to open up a dark portal.
Chris
to the
even
middle of the
yeah,
living
Chris
room.
slashes
So what does
Toriel's
this
tires
mean?
at the end of
Doesn't
chapter
immediately find
2.
the face of that prophecy
Spoiler
Ralsei
warning,
gave us at
even
the
though
start
I
of
just
chapter
said,
1.
sorry.
It specifically sets up Chris, Susie, and Ralsei as the heroes of the story, the ones who are going to restore balance to the worlds of light and dark, and yet here's Chris running around opening dark fountains, making it more
Yeah.
unbalanced. Does that mean that the prophecy then is bogus? Oh no, dear theorists. In fact, instead of breaking from the prophecy, I think Chris is actually in the process of fulfilling it. How? Well, best grab your pencil swords, my friends, because I believe that this single action
I get the
really
reference,
how the
like-
game is gonna end. The
like
truth
how
hidden
Chris
in that
has their
prophecy,
pencil become their
the final
sword.
boss of the game is ultimately gonna be. So to start with, let's actually jump into the specific quote from the prophecy. 3 heroes appear at World's Edge. A human,
Chris,
a monster,
Susie, and Rousey. Yeah,
only
Chris, Susie,
they can
Rousey.
fill fountains and banish the angels' heaven. Only then will balance be restored, and the world saved from destruction. Now, this seems pretty cut and dry. We know who the heroes are, Susie, Chris, and Rousey.
Yeah,
we know that
we
the
know
dark
that.
fountains turn real-world locations into fantasy-like adventures. We also understand
Yeah,
the concept of saving the world.
chapter 1 is like
Gaming
card-based.
101. But there's a
Chapter
line
2 is
in
like
here that I really wanna
cyber-based.
focus on. One that's a lot more ambiguous. Banish the angels' heaven. What? It's a weird thing to say. Like,
Yeah.
what is an angel's heaven? And more
Yeah, what does that
importantly,
mean?
why would we want to banish something
Yeah.
like that? Normally, angels in heaven, they tend to be good things, right?
Yeah.
In my initial theories on this game, I suggested that the angel was Azrael, Chris's brother who's away at college, the one that broke Chris's spirit and left them all alone at home. In chapter 1, we're told that Chris and Azrael made an angel for their youth group, only to waste time on giving it massive wings, just like Azrael's final form from
Oh, I get it.
Given that we believed Azrael to be the one causing Chris to run away,
I
from
never
the fancy
found that
world,
Easter egg,
it
actually.
makes sense for the angel and angel's heaven to be connected to Azrael. But then chapter 2 came out, and a second challenger for the title of angel came into play.
Noelle's the
We met
angel,
Noelle
I
in
think?
chapter 1,
Yeah,
a
that's
young, nervous
interesting.
little reindeer with a crush on Susie, and immediately her connections with angels are obvious. First, there's her outfit, a flowing white gown that looks an awful lot like the white
Yeah,
robe that
Noelle
angels are
really
depicted wearing in
Noelle
this
really
movie.
seems like she would be an
During her encounters
angel.
with various enemy
So you're not
characters,
wrong
they refer
there.
to Noelle directly as
Oh, come
angel.
on,
Heck, Noelle
angel, there it
herself
is.
even says that she wants to turn into an angel. During a
The
romantic
Addison
Ferris
called her an
wheel ride with
angel, and
Susie,
so
she
did
says,
Spamton.
quote,
Let's go back a bit.
white robes that angels are depicted wearing in most religious artwork. During your encounters with various enemy characters, they refer to Noelle directly as angel.
Yeah.
Heck, Noelle herself even says that she wants to turn into an angel. During a romantic Ferris wheel ride with Susie, she says, quote, I'd jump out the window. It's a dream, right? I'd grow big angel wings and fly
Oh, yeah, I
so
didn't think
far
about the
so I
reference
can't
at all.
back at it all. And then there's just a ton of Christ.
Yeah, Noelle has to be like an angel,
At the end of chapter
definitely.
2, she's in a Christ pose while being held captive. She can be equipped with a ring of thorns, much like the crown of thorns that Jesus is forced to wear during his crucifixion. Even her name
That's an
Noelle is a
interesting
to
reference.
Christmas and the birth
Yeah.
of Jesus. Seems pretty darn obvious. then,
Holy
right?
Congadero, this
Noelle
is one
being
hell of a
angel
game
means that at some point
theory.
she's gonna turn on all of us
Now's her
and we're
chance
gonna
to
have
be a
face
big
her
shot.
down in order to banish whatever heaven she means the crown of thorns that Jesus is forced to wear during his crucifixion.
Yeah, all of what MatPat is saying is really interesting. I mean, like we all know that Noelle has like a Christmas theme, but I never made that connection with like Christmas having to do with angels, therefore making her more of an angel. Yeah, I never thought of that actually. That's pretty clever.
Fiction. Even her name Noelle is a reference to Christmas and the birth of Jesus. Seems pretty darn obvious then, right? So Noelle being the angel means that at some point she's gonna turn on all of us and we're gonna have to face her down in order to banish whatever heaven she's fighting for. Open and shut case, right? But hey,
That image does not look like he's in pain. Well, I mean that was an old image.
obvious then, right? So Noelle being the angel means that at some point she's gonna turn on all of us and we're gonna have to face her down in order to banish whatever heaven she's fighting for. Open
Actually, I'm not.
turn on all of us and we're gonna have to face her down in order to banish whatever heaven she's fighting for. Open and
So that's also an interesting statement for us to like fight her because like we like at this point I think we all know about like the Snowgrave route and like how like in chapter 2 like we can do like this Snowgrave route, which is completely optional, where we take control of Noelle to do like evil things. But like again, like the Snowgrave route is optional though.
shut case, right? But hey, that's just a theory and all that. Well, hold on a second. Let's not jump to conclusions just yet. Way back in Undertale,
Oh,
Curse
yeah.
of the Turtle actually tells us the meaning of the Deltarune symbol. Yeah, in case you
Yeah,
forgot this one,
it's right here.
Deltarune is actually referenced all the way back in that original game. In it, he says that the triangles represent monsters down below, and that the winged circle in the middle represents, quote, an angel who has seen the surface and will
I've also heard theories that Rousey is a traitor, so it might just end up as Chris and Susie in the end. Yeah. I've heard about theories. I've heard about those theories as well of like what if like Rousey is like a twist villain. Yeah. I've heard about those theories as well, but I'd say my favorite concept would be to have like the player, like us, the player, like be like the main enemy in the end. I'm like since the beginning, like I mean like when you think about like since the beginning of Deltarune, like we were all responsible for it, like. But because we decided to play the game, we took control of Chris, which then led to all those dark fountains. So yeah, it would make sense. So yeah, it makes sense for the player, us, to be like the main villain at the end, and that's my favorite idea. I think that's what the game theory episode is all about. Lol. Yeah. I mean, like, to be fair, the thumbnail is has Chris, and well, I mean, the title is "You Are the Final Boss of Deltarune," so yeah.
Descend from above to bring us freedom. He also mentions that people have started to call the angel an angel of death.
Azrael?
Obviously, this is a prophecy that's only relevant to Undertale, right? Azrael crossed over onto the surface, got attacked by demons and killed, only to then be resurrected as the vengeful Flowey, who digivolves into the all-powerful god of hyperdeath. Azrael's an angel, even has the wings to prove it, prophecy fulfilled, no need to worry about it here, right? Well, yeah, that could be the case, but the prophecy also applies in the world of Deltarune. You see, at the end of Chapter 1, you have the chance to walk around the town and interact with people, some of which you recognize, others
there's
you might
Sans.
not. One of those unknown figures is
this
Father
person?
Elvin, the leader of the local church that Chris attends. If you speak to him, he leaves you with these parting words: "Let the angel's power light your way."
More
The
angel.
spoken of in Ralsei's prophecy is apparently worshipped in the Lightner world as well.
Look at those
means that
eyes.
Angel's heaven is a force that transcends both worlds. Noelle just doesn't exist on that plane of existence. Therefore, she can't be the angel. In
Wait,
fact,
hold on.
as well. Angel
Let me
spoken of in
listen more to
Ralsei's
this.
prophecy is apparently worshipped in the Lightner world as well. This means that the angel's heaven is a force that transcends both worlds. Noelle just doesn't exist on that plane of existence. Therefore, she can't be the angel. In fact, she goes to the exact same youth group and church that worships the angel from that heaven. So overall, it wouldn't make sense for Noelle to be the
Wait, why is Ralsei here? Is it I mean, Ralsei is a darkener. Like he can't go to the light world. That's not how that works. I can't believe Stan's Undertale befriended. Yeah, okay.
the angel that we hear about in the prophecy. That said, that doesn't necessarily mean she's not. Wouldn't make sense for Noelle to be in church that worships the angel from that heaven. Angel. In fact, she goes to the exact same youth group and church that worships the angel from that heaven. So overall, it wouldn't make sense for Noelle to be the angel that we hear about in the prophecy. That said, that doesn't necessarily mean she's not a pivotal piece in this prophecy coming true. In Chapter 2, Noelle becomes the focus of all the action. Not only is it revealed that the cyber world was created by the Queen to try and make her happy, but the whole narrative hinges on Noelle finding the strength to stand up for herself and ask for what she really wants. By teaming up with Chris, recruiting enemies, and solving puzzles together, Noelle gradually becomes more confident until the climax of the chapter, when she's able to defeat the final boss simply by telling it to stop. Except that's not the only way this chapter can end. There's another route through Chapter 2 known as the Snowgrave route.
Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking
also
about.
about making Noelle stronger in a very different way. You see, in
Yeah, this is what I was talking about way earlier, the Snowgrave route. That depends on who you ask, because Ralsei might have some access to the light world considering his knowledge about the supply and trap. I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
this route, instead of working together with Chris to solve puzzles and rekindle their friendship, Chris instead forces Noelle to attack in battle, kill enemies. They push her into buying expensive items against her will. They force her to wear that Ring of Thorns that I mentioned earlier, an item that's constantly ticking down Noelle's HP. And through it all, Chris is gaslighting Noelle into believing that all of it's for the best, that it's important for making her stronger, and that
But that's
being
all a
stronger
lie.
is the most important thing. It all culminates in the mini-boss fight against Birdley.
It's
where
really
Chris
just
must
us
repeatedly
ruining
push
Noelle's
Noelle against
life.
the spell Snowgrave, a spell that Noelle's not familiar with or comfortable with. After resisting for a couple turns, eventually Noelle relents, casting a massive ice spell that freezes Birdley solid. A spell that, at least at the end of Chapter 2, he doesn't seem to
People
be
have also been making memes of
Noelle
this.
has become stronger. In fact, she's much stronger.
Gaslight gatekeep non-binary boss Chris a very interesting description for a final boss.
Now, her personality back in the light world has
Wait,
once
what do you say?
Noelle has become stronger. In fact, she's much stronger now. Her personality back in the light world has once again gotten more direct and controlling, but the journey to get there took a very different tone. So what does any of this have to do with the Angel's Heaven and the
But it wasn't really worth it, though.
Gotta be honest with you, I lied a bit when I was describing how to get that Snowgrave route, because while Chris is the character on screen gaslighting Noelle and forcing her into all these uncomfortable situations, Chris isn't the one doing it. It's us, the player.
Yeah.
The game makes it very clear that it knows it's us. At the end of Chapter 1, when Chris rips out their heart and throws it into a cage, we are still able to move that heart.
Yeah, like if you move the arrow keys,
moment, the game is making it
you can still control a heart in the cage.
Are two separate entities.
Yeah, they're two separate entities.
Much more
too.
emphasis put on us and our role in this story. The only way the Snowgrave route can happen is if we pick very specific dialogue options. Options that Noelle explicitly says are very out of character for Chris. She becomes even more aware of us when we respond to her internal monologue, something that again Chris should never have been able to hear. At yet another point, she mentions that the voice she hears
Chris and
doesn't
us
sound
as the
like
player
Chris,
are
so
two
involvement
different
starts to be
entities,
noticed
two separate
and
entities.
commented on. Back in Chapter 1, the only real person to make any sort of reference to the player was
Was
Sans.
Sans.
He makes a joke about us having never met before and then winks, the same
Yeah.
way he always did back in Undertale when he was pretending not to know about other timelines and universes. He knows that Chris isn't the one in control here, but now
But
other
it's us.
characters are starting to become aware
Stan-
that there's something or
Sans and other
someone
people
in
are
this
starting to know
world.
it's
These
us.
aren't their choices, there are choices. And you see,
Oh,
that's
oh, that was
hugely
menacing. Did you
important
see?
to
I
this
like
game.
that.
The Snowgrave ending stands out not
Oh, there's my boy Spam to Neo. Yeah, look at this. Oh, I wasn't expecting this. This is cool. I like that.
And you see, that's hugely important for this game. The Snowgrave ending stands out not just because of how dark
There's our
and
boy
uncomfortable
Spam
it is to
10.
achieve, but also because it's the first
And has a
time
chance to be a
player
big
gets to do
shot.
the very thing they've wanted to do since Under. Important for this game. The Snowgrave ending stands out not just because of how dark and uncomfortable it is to achieve, but also because it's the first time a player gets to do the very thing they've wanted to do since Undertale. Make
Yeah.
a choice. You see, Undertale was all about player choice.
Player really said, "Oh, you're approaching me with Dagglaw Knight." JoJo reference.
Taking a pacifist route, a genocide route, or something in between yielded vastly different gameplay experiences and endings.
Oh
Your
yeah, I
choices
remember
matter
Omega
a
Flower.
lot. But in the opening minutes of Deltarune, you're immediately told that your choices don't matter here. The game literally kicks off by asking you to create a character, only to then throw it out the window and present you with Chris.
The funny thing about that is that like Deltarune makes it seem like that like this time we don't have a choice. Like in Chapter 1, like we don't like I don't think we get to do like some sort of Snowgrave route or anything, but like a forced route. Whereas the second chapter, it actually lets us take our own route, and that's kind of odd when you think about it. Nah, bro. Wait. Let me read. Okay, I'm gonna read that in the Spamton voice. Nah, bro is gonna be a heart on a string for their whole life. There, did it.
It's a moment that instantly beats you over the head with the message that your choices don't matter here. Except clearly they do, or at least seem to. In the Snowgrave route, we are literally forcing Chris and Noelle to bend to our will, which yields a completely different flow for the chapter. Birdley's frozen and maybe dead. Noelle is emotionally shaken and suspicious of Chris. Heck, we don't even end up fighting the Queen as the final boss of
we
the
don't.
chapter. The characters are literally our puppets on
It's it's the green strings. Do you know? Do you know who else has green strings? We all know who else has green strings. Like you remember like after like the pacifist Spamton neophyte like how Susie and Rousey noticed that Chris felt uncomfortable. Yeah, spammed exactly like after the Spamton neophyte in the pacifist route, Chris felt uncomfortable not because of how intense or scary the fight itself was, but but the fact that Chris themselves feels like a puppet because like we're the ones controlling Chris. Chris is our puppet. We're the puppet master. Yeah, and I think that's why Chris had an interest in Spamton to begin with, because Chris feels like they're like in the same kind of position as him.
Strings, acting out the decisions that we're forcing upon them. Speaking of puppets, no one knows what it's like to have their strings pulled better than everyone's favorite salesman and secret boss,
Spamton G. Spamton.
The boss battle in Chapter 2 is about trying to achieve freedom, where you win by cutting his string.
Yeah.
That already sends a pretty powerful message about fighting for control in your own life. That's
yeah.
If you continue down the Snowgrave route, instead of meeting the queen at the end, you fight Spamton Neo,
yeah,
the final boss. And it's here that he gives you some...
Oh, wait, okay, I just realized it makes more sense now as to why Spamton Neo is the final boss of the Snowgrave route, because so as we're watching this, I'm figuring out more and more that the Snowgrave route is more about like us being able to do our own thing, like so having Spamton Neo be the final boss of the Snowgrave route is really fitting. That makes so much sense now. Okay.
Very interesting lines of dialogue. Quote, you think making frozen chicken with your
Birdly.
side chick is gonna let you drink up that sweet, sweet freedom sauce? Well, you're right. Obviously, he's referring to specific events from the Snowgrave route, like the frozen chicken being Birdly and the side chick being Noelle. But what's more interesting is how he refers to Chris. If you fight Spamton during the normal route, he refers to Chris by their name. But in the Snowgrave fight, he never does.
Well, I actually never realized that. Yeah, me neither. I didn't realize that until now. Like I just thought of it. Puppet versus puppet. Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I'm saying. Puppet versus puppet right here. Two marionettes fighting each other. Noelle, yeah, no way.
Neo as the final boss, and it's here that he gives you some very interesting lines of dialogue. Quote, you think making frozen chicken with your
We've already heard this.
Referring to specific events from the Snowgrave route. How he refers to Chris. If you fight Spamton during the normal route, he refers to Chris by their name. But in the Snowgrave fight, he never does that. He only refers to Chris's character as you. Now, I don't think it's because Spamton just decided to be less personable. I think it's because he's not talking to Chris. He's talking to us. He's breaking the fourth wall. Later on in that fight, you have to call your friends for help. And every time it says Chris called for help. But when you call out to Noelle, it suddenly changes to you whispered.
That's so interesting.
Noelle suddenly answers when everyone else has been silent, because that's the voice that's been leading her throughout the Snowgrave ending. It's the voice that she obeys. It's the voice.
Now they're doing like the game theory googly eyes, but except in Pixar style. This is amazing.
She's afraid of.
That's interesting. So this whole time, Spamton Neo was in the Snowgrave route, at least. It turns out in the Snowgrave route, he was talking to like us directly, not Chris. Us. Oh, that's creepy. I like that.
Our voice. The use of the word "you" here is directly addressing the voice that she's afraid of. Our voice. The use of the word "you" here is directly addressing the player, because we're the one breaking away from the main pacifist route in the game in favor of a more violent path. A path that forces our choices to be obeyed. And as Spamton says, we're right to do this, because choice equals freedom. Quote, this power is freedom. I won't have to be a puppet anymore. Just like the
puppet on a
angels
string.
from Undertale's prophecy, we're bringing freedom to these characters. We're allowing other options.
Like the most obvious one that we all know. I think we can all agree that the most obvious one. I think we can all agree that the character we bring freedom to is done in like the most obvious way, which is cutting Spamton's strings, because he's a puppet.
For their story. bringing freedom to these characters. We're allowing
Yeah.
other options for their story. In short, we, the players, we are the angel. We're the ones who are able to transcend both the light world and the dark world. We're the ones able to control the characters and light their way. We're the ones coming in from on high and bringing them a form of freedom. Except obviously, it's not real freedom. They're just subservient to us now, bending to our choices. We are the angel, and our reality is the angel's heaven. But if that's true, then we are the villain of Deltarune.
Exactly.
Chapter 1, it was actually
That's what I'm
quite
saying.
fitting that the world revolved around chess pieces. Chris and their friends are basically pawns in our little game. We're controlling everything they do. But
Oh,
in our world, these pieces
that's
have
interesting.
real characters, thoughts, feelings. And yet here we are just playing with them for our own entertainment. We
Yeah.
are the thing that needs to be banished from Chris's body, from the lie.
Yeah, we're the puppet master, like taking control of these poor kids just for our own entertainment. That is my favorite. That is why I like the idea of like us, the player, being the main villain of the game. Maybe we're gonna bring freedom to every secret boss in some shape or form, like Spamton's string cutting and Jevil drawing us outside of his cell. Years ago I did like a Twitch stream of me beating Spamton Neo, and but I've never beat Jevil or really anyone else, or really see anyone else beat Jevil. So yeah.
Playing with them for our own entertainment.
Our
We
own
are the thing that
entertainment.
needs to be banished from Chris's body, from the lives
Yeah.
of their friends. And that,
Yeah.
loyal theorists, is how Deltarune is gonna end. Just like the prophecy said,
Yeah.
Chris, Susie, and Ralsei are gonna banish the angel's heaven, which means they're gonna work together to reject us one final time.
Yeah.
Kick us out of the game. Chris will rip
Yes.
us out of their body, and
Yes.
suddenly we're gonna have to face them.
This is what I would like to see, like at the end of the full game, when every chapter is out. Like, this is what I'd like to see, like at the end, with us being like the main villain that needs to be taken down because we're the puppet master. That's taking control of Chris and everyone else just for our own entertainment, because we see their world as a game.
As the final boss of this whole thing. And from there, Toby Fox will either force us to lose, or we'll be given a final choice. A chance to choose whether we fight for domination and control over these characters that we've grown with over the last 7 chapters, or if instead we're going to respect their autonomy and let them live their own lives. But hold on, doesn't this conflict with the opening of the game, that our choices don't matter here?
I mean,
Seems to be
kind
the
of.
thesis of Deltarune.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, looking at the Snowgrave route, our choices didn't really end up mattering all that much. We see it throughout chapter 2. The endings are basically the same regardless of whether you play it normally or choose Snowgrave. Noelle gets stronger regardless. In both routes, the queen's defeated, she becomes good, we escape the dark world, and we go to see Noelle with her father in the hospital. Noelle's still playing her video game, and she's more confident than she was at the beginning of the chapter. Sure, Bradley might be dead, but it's more likely that he's passed out. Regardless, though, the end.
I'm not sure that you'd call Birdley dead, like, after the Snowgrave route. I mean, it's not like you actually killed him. I mean, like in the Snowgrave route, like you basically froze him alive, but in the Dark World. So does that technically mean that you still killed him? I don't know.
Doesn't change in its essential components, but by doing the Snowgrave route and changing Noelle's journey to be one full of trauma and abuse, the dialogue options and relationships change. Noelle is more aggressive and doesn't want to give up control of the game. She's scared of Chris rather than seeing them as a friend. She is literally traumatized by what Chris,
and it's all our fault,
did to her. Sure, the decisions we make, like Snowgrave, might not affect the events that we see play out at the end of the game, but the journey is going to be different, and that journey is going to change things like subtext and the emotions underneath. all
Yeah.
these actions. In the end, we are absolutely going to get booted out of these characters' lives.
Oh,
one way or
yeah,
another.
this is a menacing
This
shot.
can't affect that. But the journey is ultimately going to dictate how painful that process is going to be.
Yeah.
Spamton even warns us of this during the Snow
Yeah.
Neo fight. He talks about our path to freedom, but
Yeah.
follows it up with, quote, "Well, don't blame me when you're crying in a broken home wishing you let your old pal Spamton kill ya." Makes it sound like freedom is going to leave us sad and alone.
Yeah,
not
he
feeling
warned us.
fulfilled like we won some sort of a game. And that's the whole point.
The
By
puppet
making these
himself
choices, by
warned us.
exercising freedom, we're actually dooming these characters to a more miserable life. And eventually, they're gonna fight back and banish us for
Yeah.
good. Once Chris separates themselves from our control, they'll all have their freedom back, and the events of the ending
Yeah.
may stay the same, but the context
Yeah.
behind those events is gonna be different. Susie,
Yeah.
Birdley, Noel, they may all still hang out together, but are they gonna be hanging out because they're friends, or are they gonna be hanging out because they're afraid of Chris and the things
Oh.
that he made Chris do? Toby Fox used
And it's all
Undertale
our
to prove that
fault.
humanity was overall good, breaking away from the cycle of violence that RPGs force players into.
Yeah.
In Deltarune, as soon as the opportunity for a new ending showed up, we showed our true colors. We were willing
Yeah.
to throw these characters and their lives aside if it meant that we got more of that sweet, sweet juice content.
Yeah.
So despite what we've been told, I'm convinced that we do have a choice in this game. Are we going to be kind and give these characters the best possible ending? Or are we going to be a monster like Azrael, the final boss that leaves them all broken and with nothing? All so we can get that sweet, sweet sense of completion.
Yeah.
But hey, that's just a theory.
Tobias Ness, we know the truth,
A game
Mr. Fox.
theory. Thanks for watching.
A game theory. Okay, so that was his Deltarune theory. What'd you all think of that? Personally, I liked that. I like how this one is I like how this one is of my favorite theory of like overall us the player being the final boss, and like that was cool. Yeah, and I also like the numerous references to Spamton, like because because he's a puppet, but it's also that he's undoubtedly my most favorite character out of this game. I mean, in the beginning here, let's get a replay of this.
Hey,
We even get MATPAT'S Spamton. That's amazing. Oh, we even get this shot here as well with Spamton overwatching them. That's okay. That is somehow both cool, but also a cursed image at the same time, and I love it. So yeah, that was MATPAT'S Deltarune theory. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care.